Saturday today, and I haven't achieved much all week. I was actually off sick for most of the week. Had a sinus infection. My head was feeling like it was going to explode, so I've just been resting. I haven't been doing much at all, although I'm never very good at not doing anything, so I did end up making Milo a little motorcycle helmet, which I might show at the end. I don't know if I'll be able to get film of him wearing it. It's hard enough to get a photo of him wearing it, but we'll see. And it's because for our recovery, him and I have been sitting up on the couch watching motorcycle documentaries, let's put it that way. So I've made a little hat for him. And today I've been working on these guards, smoothing them out a bit more. They're still reasonably lumpy. That little kick at the end, I may have done a little bit beyond my skill level there. It's quite hard to get that nice and smooth, I'm finding. But a bit of filler, it'll be fine. But you can see I've been hammering them, and by when you put it through the bead roller and you get those sort of 45-degree bends, it's quite sharp where the radius starts. So if you just smooth that out, it makes a big difference. It really flattens out the curve a little bit. So instead of it just going up, round, and then across, it's much more curved. But I think I've still got a little bit more to do. And again, I've been doing that just over the little T-stake thing, and using Metal Shaper Tom's stainless steel slapper. This is really good. This is working really well. So you just sort of hold it over that and you kind of flatten out the curve. But you can see now, well, it's a bit hard to see without comparing it to how they were before, but before they were very trailer-like, where the sides just go straight down, and now they have a curve to them. So I'm pretty pleased with how those are coming along. I basically, luckily, run out of patience about the same time I run out of skill. So these are getting pretty close to me saying good enough. You know, once they're painted up and they're on the car and they've been dinged and beaten around a bit, I'm sure they'll be fine. Especially if you compare to the very, very messed around originals. You know, these ones have been completely hacked about. That's why I'm not using them. But once it's all on the car, it's not quite so bad. So the next thing to do will be start making the stays. I may be able to reuse some of these brackets that I bent up before. I think I should be able to. I have to remember how I actually did the ends of these in the end. I think I flattened, yeah, that's right, I flattened the end of the tube and welded it onto the steel to give a nice end. You see it's all just MIG welded together and then blended in, but it's a nice solid weld. It's not going to break. I'm definitely getting better at doing these guards, because now when I feel these ones, these feel quite lumpy compared to the rear ones. Obviously the practice helps, so I probably need to have another go at the front ones, try and smooth those out a little bit more. I still haven't taken the MGB for its warrant. Need to do that. And I have been riding around on the bikes a little bit, just not on the road. Very tempted to go up the road now. Maybe take the Valicette. I don't know. It's quite windy today though. So we'll see. I did have the door open. You can tell it's windy when the place gets full up with leaves. But yeah. Those are those rear guards coming along reasonably well. The other thing I got recently is it'd be quite handy to be able to mount my phone to the bikes. One of the things I want to do is go and practice some slow speed stuff, and a guy I follow on YouTube has sort of tutorials for low speed maneuvers. You set up some cones and you do these different patterns around them, and you can use your phone to see what you need to do. So I ended up buying one of these quad locks. There's another style called rock form, I think it is, but I could not find anywhere you could buy those in New Zealand, so I went with the quad lock. That'll clamp to the handlebars, and then the phone, you get a special case for the phone that kind of has a sort of corresponding shape in the back, and it's sort of a quarter turn, and then it locks in place. The reason I have my phone in a plastic bag is because this is also magnetic. There's a magnetic ring in there. I think the idea is you're supposed to be able to stick it to metal things, although I find the magnet is nowhere near strong enough to hold the phone up, so I don't know why they bothered. I don't think it's anything to do with this, because I don't think this is magnetic. Nope. So yeah, but of course the problem with having a magnet on your phone holder when you're an amateur metal worker who's been using sanders and things like that is it just picks up all the metal dust. So you can see there's a ring of dust on it already, which isn't very good. So hence the phone being in a plastic bag when I'm out here. But I haven't decided which bike I'm going to put it on. I need to be able to move it around. So there is the first for the season coffee and cars up at Southwoods Car Museum tomorrow morning. I'd really like to take this, but I haven't really had enough practice to go that far yet, I think. It's not that far, it's like 10 miles, and it's on pretty straightforward roads, but I think I need more practice on this before I venture out in traffic, basically. I have been riding it around the garden. I've been practicing slow speed things, of course, and I've been tweaking the brakes on this, because the brakes on this are obviously terrible. It's an old bike with drum brakes, so I have adjusted it to get them as good as I can. Nowhere near as good as the brakes on the Honda, and the brakes on the Honda are nowhere near as good as the brakes on a modern bike, apparently. So I don't think there's any danger on this of me going end over on it. On the grass I have locked up the rear wheel though, so it does kind of work, but I guess you just have to ride it appropriately, so conservatively and slowly, which it's a pretty conservative and slow bike, so that's not going to be a problem. But forgotten where I was going with that. Yes, and the weather tomorrow isn't meant to be great, so failing taking one of the bikes, I of course could have taken the MGB, but that isn't road legal until I get the warrant and renew the registration. So it may just be a trip in my normal car. Sunday, and it's a really nice day. Just noticed my rear guard's got a twist in it. The Velocette is idling, warming up. I've got all my gear out, so I'm just going to go for it. Let's try and ride this thing to Southwards for the coffee and cars. See how far we get. So I made it to Southwards, and it's getting busy outside. Lots of people are arriving, so I've come to look in the museum before it gets too busy. Plus my hay fever's playing up. This is the downstairs part. Been here plenty of times. There's lots of footage for all of this, so I won't bore you with too much filming, but I'll have a look outside and see what's there. I did notice there's a couple of vintage cars, pre-war, 2 so far I think. Actual pre-war cars, not just hot rods. So we'll go have a look at them later on. And I'm learning all the disadvantages of being a motorcyclist. You have to wear lots of gear. You have to carry your hat with you everywhere. And I completely forgot to bring another hat for when I'm standing out in the sun. So I've already got a bit of a headache because it's a nice day. I'm still recovering, I think, from my sickness earlier in the week, my sinus thing. GT. And a nice big Riley. I don't think much changes down in this lower part very often, but I always like coming and having a look. Never actually been to this bit of Southwoods before, so this is kind of up on the main road. The museum's behind the trees there. This is like the overflow area, and it's super busy. This is the main roundabout. It's broken down. Apparently this line of traffic goes all the way down for a long way, and you can see there's still lots of people arriving. This is around the back of Southwoods. Those buildings over there are the workshops, and there's a little lake. The museum's behind me. So this bit's kind of filling up as well. One of the vintage cars was an MG, and the other one, I think it was a Model A Ford, but it actually left. It was leaving as I was coming back around here from being in that other field. Yeah, not much pre-war stuff at all. So when I finish the Riley and get that on the road, I'm absolutely bringing it here because there won't be anything else like it at all, except for in the museum, I guess. But yeah, quite a bit of modern stuff, Porsches and BMWs, Japanese cars. I'll go for a wander down there though. I want a twat and a Lambo, always has to be one of them. Sitting out the back in the shade. It's a very sunny day. It's giving me a bit of a headache. But this is the queue to get out. See the cars all the way around, plus they're coming from the front back around this way, looping around the museum for some reason. You can see it's a bit of a traffic jam, and it's worse out in the front. I'm just going to wait until it's quiet. Might go back in the museum actually. I always have an ice cream when I come here as well. I haven't had that yet. Such a nice day. Really glad I went out on the Valicette. It was a good day at Southwards. It was absolutely packed. They had all of their overflow parking full. Weren't too many cars that really interest me. I took a few pictures of some. I couldn't be bothered walking around filming, to be honest. There's too many people around and they were playing music in the background. I took a couple of pictures of just some interesting cars. The ones that are interesting to me are some of the older ones. Not so much the American stuff, but just some of the cars you don't see around very often these days, like 1980s Honda Civics and stuff like that. There was a Gen 1 MR2, which is a car I've always liked ever since I was a teenager. There were a couple of Gen 2 MR2s. I think I saw one Gen 3. There were some drift cars there. It's just interesting to see how they're engineered, and just lots of modern cars. One thing that occurred to me looking at it, so I was looking at the bikes, and Ducati bikes are just gorgeous. They just look so much better than most other bikes. Like, they ooze style. And I was thinking about some of the cars, and the Porsches, the 911s, they're nice cars. I like them, but they are so boring. Like, they all look the same, and they don't look bad, but it's almost like there's no character to them. Very strange. There are a few BMWs. I find BMWs are better. There was a very nice, I think it was an 80s, it was like a race homologated BMW. I can't remember that. I can never remember BMW numbers. But that was really, really nice. And some interesting bikes, nothing really too much there. I don't really know a lot about modern bikes anyway, so I was sort of parked up by myself out of the way because I was there so early. I didn't know where they actually park the bikes really. So bike, it had a few people looking at it. I was keeping an eye on it from time to time just to make sure nobody stole it. And yeah, a few people looked at it. Definitely not a chick magnet. Mainly seemed to be old men who were interested in it, which doesn't surprise me. Yeah, and I ended up bumping into an old colleague friend of mine who I worked with when I was at Weta a few years ago. And turns out him and his partner now have a house literally down the road a little bit from Southwards. So I went round there for a coffee to see their place. Beautiful place on the river. Beautiful garden, old school garden. So that was really nice. So I went there. By the time I went back past Southwards, had quietened down, so it was quite an easy ride back. Bike went fine, no problem. I do have to consciously remember the foot brake is on the left, not so much for slowing down. It's got so much engine braking, you roll off the throttle, it slows down pretty well, but mainly because the brake light is only actuated by the foot pedal, not by the handbrake. So when I'm coming up to stops and things, I try to remember to give it gentle brake pressure so people know I'm stopping. Wasn't too much traffic, but yeah, you basically ride everywhere wide open throttle. All the way back from Southwards, just full throttle, and it's slow. The speedo needle bounces around a bit, between 40 and 50. I think the highest I got to was about 50. Unfortunately, I didn't stick my phone on it or my little GPS tracker. This is just a tachometer. So I don't actually know what the highest speed I managed to reach was. I was going on a 100k road. I definitely wasn't going 100k. There's a radar speed sign as we come into our little village here, little township, and the speed limit there is 80. I think it said I was going 67. And that was flat out. I'm not sure how accurate it is on a small target like a bike. But, yeah, really, really pleased I did that trip. Felt good about it. Roads were good. It's nice and sunny. Luckily, the roads I need to go on to get there are nice, big, wide roads. There's cycle lanes in them as well. So, you know, I don't have to hold up traffic. I can pull quite far over to the left. I did pump up the tyres before I went out this morning, and the given pressures for these, like the original pressures, are ridiculously low. So with modern tyres, you pump them up a bit, and I could probably go a bit harder even, but I found that has really improved the front end feel, especially at low speed. It doesn't feel so heavy, so that helped, and doesn't seem to be leaking anything. I just started it up to ride it around the garden to get it back into the shed, and it was fine. Started first time. There's a few small weeps and drips. The radiator's cool. It's cooled down now. Yeah, it's got oil, which I should probably change at some point. And it's on exactly 56,000 miles, which is nice. So, put that to sleep. I did stop at the supermarket on the way and picked up some cold beers. You cannot fit a 6-pack into the panniers, but you can take all the cans out and put them into the panniers, which is what I had to do. So maybe I need another bag. Really what I need is just more straps. If I had more of these straps, I could then strap that little seat bag to this. That would be handy. But, yeah, so no more on the Riley today probably. I did dig out these brackets. I should be able to reuse those, which is good. Although I did find I've got more of that steel, I will need more of it. So that'll be the next thing, is sorting out those brackets, and this stays.